Sett really still being the only thing that jumps to mind. The fact that Rogue Warriors on blue has to ban Lee Sin, Nocturne, and Rumble, I think is pretty rough. Because, I mean, if you could leave open a Lee Sin, get first dibs on that champion, and have a bit of playmaking, have a bit of strength in your soul lanes would be quite nice. But once again, going to bring out a facilitator.
Yep, going with the Sett. I will say Forge did not look very inspiring. He had not really many choices, many opportunities to kind of create for his team with the Sett in the last game, but definitely something that would be curious to see how they adapt, excuse me, as we do see now the OMG going back onto the Ezreal for Abel, was fantastically safe on it in the last game, did his job, no reason to panic on it, so going back to that pick it feels natural for him.
Yeah, and, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see Aki go back towards the Xin Zhao. You also could theoretically be the team that takes away the Udyr here and get that bit of faster clear, but instead OMG are going to pivot. So it seems like Rogue Warriors didn't ban out Viego for no reason. I guess something that OMG have been practicing in solo queue and playing in scrims, and they're going to go straight towards the Viego. A ton of strength coming out in solo lanes, a champion that actually does quite well into the Sett as well, and actually does have a pretty formidable level 1 against him.
Nice. Okay, I like this from the side of Rogue Warriors. Your two best players at the moment from the start of this season have been IceCoke and ZWuJi. Give them champions that can pop off, that can carry games, and this is two champions I love to see from them. You've got the Kaisa and the Diana. Both can also help each other out in facilitating, you know, just a straight up dive composition.
Yeah, and I actually wouldn't be too surprised to see Aki go towards this Nidalee, but instead gonna go to the Xin Zhao, right? You have an AD soul laner already. I feel like going towards an AP jungler would have made a lot of sense, but instead wanting to keep Aki on a very aggressive early game champion that also provides both engage and prevents windows from the enemy team coming into you. But I agree. I think the main focus here is the fact that Rogue Warriors are pivoting from game 1. They notice the Ezreal coming out, and they're going to lock in a bunch of champions that have an easy time getting onto him. And actually, we didn't hit on the fact that I didn't even notice, because we pretty much instantly got on the first pick, that OMG were the team who banned away the Akali this time around. So a bit curious. Respecting Forge. Forge was another player that, kind of funnily in the same vein as Creme, Forge initially came in as this player that we're hyping up like his Sylas, his Akali, his Irelia, this guy on melee champions, he can do it all. And then we kind of saw that fall flat with the way his teams played around him, and then typically those champions would just fall out of meta, so Forge never really getting a chance to show up on what was his bread and butter forte, and he was never a player, or at least the teams that he played on weren't teams that would break the mold and break the meta and just try and build around it regardless.
See what the final ones are going for. We see the Rakan ban with the Nautilus. So again, things that can just facilitate this dive composition. You still, of course, I was going to say the Leona, but it is going to be banned away here by Rogue Warriors. So very much down the priority pool of champions here for the side of, or for both sides in terms of support pools, and we'll see now what they want to go for. Still have the likes of the Thresh, the Braum as well is very good, I find, into dive compositions, so something like that could be on the cards here for OMG if they do decide to go that way, but they block in the Gwen, leaving that pick right until the end.
Yeah, and, you know, to me, Rogue Warriors must have been okay with this pick going over, because when you look at OMG's draft, the fact that they do have AD in both Viego and Xin Zhao, it meant that they were going to get an AP soul laner, Gwen being the only champion that really can go into top, and sure, she can play mid as well, even though we haven't seen it just yet. So Rogue Warriors, I assume, feel comfortable going into that matchup. Going to bring out the Wukong, something we've seen go against it many times. We've typically seen it lose out in early laning phase, not getting a lot of use out of your stone skin. Gwen still being extremely durable and doing a ton of damage. And Rogue Warriors going to round out their comp with the Galio coming in into what we would expect to be the support role. Obviously, we haven't been seeing as much Sett support this time around, but it is still a little bit flexible. This time, though, Rogue Warriors do have the tools to find the engages that they weren't able to find last game. If Forge is going in, you don't expect it to be alone. You expect other members to be able to follow up, and we especially want to be seeing 8917 really be leading the charge with that Wukong, and IceCoke following in with the Diana.
I mean, you say they have the tools. It's all they have. All they have is go, go, go. Get in on top of people. Try and just burn down those backlines as quick as you possibly can. And for the side of OMG, they are going to maybe look for the Braum here. Still waiting for a little bit of time. I do believe it was locked in at the end. We'll have to wait and see now exactly how that one went. But again, everything from Rogue Warriors is just dive, 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 jump in and get as much CC and damage down as you possibly can as quick as you can. So it's going to be on OMG to kind of be on the other end of this right now. Of course, we said in a lot of their games they were looking towards being these big dive threats in the backside, but now it's Rogue Warriors that are going to be the ones threatening those backlines, and it's going to be onto OMG to keep their carries safe. Not only that, but also find their own engages within that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, right? Because for OMG, they pivoted at the end. They picked up the Braum, so bringing in some disengage, bringing in some zone control to keep away the very melee and short-range composition of Rogue Warriors. That's one area where Braum has always thrived, is once you're up against a bunch of very squishy short-range champions, right? You tag one with your passive, you make it very easy for your teammates to get that off, find the stun, find the kill. But at the same time, you have Gwen and Viego, and I think Gwen can perform very comfortably in a standard teamfight setup, because you can actually just stand in front of your AD carry, go into either the front or back line, put down your W, and then it makes it annoying for the AD carry to be able to hit you, so you have to find ways to traverse that. But Viego definitely going to want to be a champion either coming in on flanks or playing around the timing of your teammates, right? Because it's all about finding those souls, getting the resets for your ultimate, and really popping off in the team fight in that direction. So I think there's a bit of a different sort of dynamic coming out from OMG's composition, and the bar for execution is a little bit higher.
Just a little bit higher, but we'll wait and see exactly how it all kind of pans out, as we are jumping back onto the Rift for our second game of this best of three. We get the Gyos going strong, and they're getting, I imagine, and I'll have to rewatch the VOD because we don't actually get the Gyos in our ear, but I imagine they're getting a little louder for OMG every day. Just a little bit louder.
It'll always be surprising to me, or it's like surprising and not, how every team in the LPL actually has a pretty sizable fan base. It doesn't matter if you are the 17th team and you don't pick up any wins, there will be fans out screaming for you, it will be loud, and yeah, there's just a ton of support going around for pretty much everyone, but that is bound to happen when you do have so many viewers like the LPL does in China.
Yeah, it really does. It really is one of those setups, if you will, that just kind of keeps pushing and pushing and pushing in terms of the fan bases and really growing out. And I do believe Conqueror is the name of the game here for pretty much everybody on the side of OMG. They've almost exclusively got it. It is exclusive on the top half of the map, and then a little bit of AD carry as well, but again, I like this adaptation coming in from Rogue Warriors. They, move towards a lot more self-sufficient opportunities and not waiting on OMG to make mistakes like they were in the last game. And this time around, they have, like you mentioned, the tools to be able to push themselves into an advantageous position. So I'll be curious to see now how they make that level 6 work for them. And right now, I'm actually curious to see exactly where these junglers go, and see where Aki wants to kind of put his priority, as well as IceCoke, because they've got two pretty decent early game junglers who can put down that damage and be able to create something early in the lanes.
Yeah, for me, I expect Aki to play a lot more towards the side lanes this time around rather than looking towards Creme, which will be similar to last game, right? There's going to be some setup there. If New can get this bounce back, you can come back around level 4, try and set something up after the reset. But it does look like New right now is getting the push to ensure that Aki can easily get that topside Scuttle Crab. But you also do have setup in the bot lane, right? Because one of the strengths of Braum is the fact that you do work so well in 3v3s and skirmishes. So for me, that's where Aki can look with ganks. But I feel like for Rogue Warriors, your bot lane, you shouldn't necessarily be looking for those skirmishes. One of the strengths of Galio is, I'm going to pause because IceCoke, not actually going to go for the gank, but one of the strengths of Galio, as I was saying, was into a lot of support matchups, the reason why we used to see him up against likes of Leona, for example, is the fact that you guarantee prio against all these champions. You throw out your Winds of War, you walk up with your passive, you do very well against engaged champions, you're a very good counter-engaged champion, and then you can look to roam early on. So once with that level 6 point, Chocho should be able to freely move around the map.
Well, speaking of freely moving around the map, Aki is sitting on a ward behind this tower, and 8917 will use that as his sign to leave, but he still gets caught out a little bit here. Now, he might have to, I was going to say have to blow his flash, but he doesn't even actually have a flash. He went with teleport, ignite, and he is dead. Aki picking himself up a first blood in this game, and 8917 is going to be in such a world of hurt.
Yeah, really clean coming out from Aki, right? goes in with the W into the E, realizes, hey, just keep walking forward. You know that's where the clone is going to come out. Eventually does get that third hit for the knockup, and luckily for him, the Q and E are just coming off cooldown again once that happens.
Very, very nicely done, and Aki just, you know, making his presence known. And like, I feel like for Rogue Warriors, like, they could have maybe gone with a slightly different strategy there. Like, Sett has the TP, you can TP up to the top lane, they can't go for the dive then, and just 8917 walking away doesn't really mitigate any kind of, you know, dive potential.
I feel like it would be pretty rough, though, because you mitigate the first dive, but with how far IceCoke is on the opposite side of the map, you just open up a window for Creme to end up coming over as well. So I feel like for Rogue Warriors, they outplayed the pressure fine in terms of like, hey, I don't necessarily feel like you need to dedicate that many resources to looking to counteract the play. The initial change would have to be IceCoke going back. You see where the wave state is when you get back on the map and looking to see if you can cover with him as well. But for IceCoke, it seems like Rogue Warriors as a whole, right? You're waiting for those level 6s to come out. You're waiting to start looking for those wombo combos around the map. Their comp is very burst-oriented, so they need those kills in that initial engage like you were hitting on earlier coming out from Pick Ban, because in any extended skirmish, OMG does win out in terms of DPS.
Well, Rogue Warriors going to pick themselves up an early Drake again, seeing it from the first game. It is only a Cloud Drake, so not the most impactful, but will help out with that early little bit of cooldown reduction. They actually can't go for it as Cold was roaming down away, and this is kind of the easy setup here when you have an Ezreal. Ezreal is just so self-sufficient, so self-reliant to be able to just leave him there for a couple of seconds, gives Braum the opportunity to walk away, keep everyone out of the Dragon Pit, and now OMG might look for themselves to get their own Dragon.
And I'm just surprised that we don't see the hover coming out through Diana in the bottom lane. IceCoke probably being conscious that he isn't level 6 yet, so he isn't exactly stronger than Xin Zhao at this point in time. Also, we see now back in mid lane, right? Creme heavily winning out in these trades. Viego does incredibly well into the Sett matchup. We've hit on his auto range before. His auto range is incredibly long. You can find a lot of little trades when Sett is hitting minions, and you can like kind of tether your range on him. The Q's on a 5-second cooldown. You have the Shroud coming out to try to outplay some of the other abilities and the movement speed that you get in it. So Creme just doing a nice job of maximizing this champion to its fullest, and Forge has to look for windows like that. You find the face breaker, you try to get off the full burst, and that's where you will be able to get back in terms of the HP department.
Speaking of getting back, Lyric, I just looked at top side for 8917. He is less than half the CS of New right now. He is in so much pain on this Wukong, and honestly there's not really a lot he can do about it. We're gonna see a little picture-in-picture replay, and just getting melted down here by the needlework, and there's not a lot he can do about it.
I mean, let's remember back to that first trade, right? Not only is he like dead, but he got zoned off the wave for quite a long time because he was constantly trying to run. That was a solid like 10 seconds that he was wasting just trying to escape the dive coming out from Aki. So he lost a ton of gold, lost a ton of EXP, lost a ton of tempo. So New was even able to find a reset, come back to lane even stronger, and just bully him out ever since then. The fact that you are AP, the Stone Skin not going to be able to do anything against you in that trade. Now even coming back with the plated steel caps. I mean, New is so happy in this matchup. He realizes that Rogue Warriors are on this side of the map because no one is showing on the bottom lane, and it looks like Rogue Warriors want to try to punish New in the top side. But guess what? Cold knows. OMG knows, and they are coming.
Yep, they are very aware of this, as there are going to be 4 people here. Cold needs to be a little bit careful as the Crescent strike does land. They now have full vision of absolutely everybody from Rogue Warriors, and know that it was just going to be a little cheeky red buff steal and then back away. The idea was there, and I still like the little, you know, consolation prize, if you will, of still getting that red buff away.
Yep, Rogue Warriors at least trying this time around, utilizing the tools there to find advantages. Again, I don't feel like their comp in game 1 opened them up to too many. They still did have windows that they could have executed on, just weren't able to. But Creme and Cold are now trying to find these picks. It is going to open up a Rift Herald for the side of OMG. They're not losing out on anything either because Aki doesn't have any jungle camps up. But both AD carries are moving over, so both teams want to fight.
They want to go for it. Cyclone's been used. There's going to be the ultimate there from the Galio as well. But look at Abel. He's just untouched in the backside of this fight. It is going to be a nice little move there from Force to try and get in. There's the killer instinct onto the backside. But the resets here for Creme are going to be enough to keep him alive. He keeps him going. It's a triple. It's a quadra here for New on this Gwen. And it looked so good at the start, but then it all unraveled so quickly.
And it was just complete chaos coming in, and we saw it didn't look like ZWuJi was able to be in distance of getting into the fight at the start, which is why when he did come in with the killer instinct, it was so awkward. You're right in the face of a bunch of melee champions who just want to smack you down, and that's what they did. New doing such a good job on the Gwen. Gwen in these skirmishes, man, he's just such a tough champion to deal with, especially with the fact that he's already been able to find his own lead.
And that is 4 kills now on top of the CS lead, on top of the XP lead, and we can see how this one goes. And I gotta give props for props to you. Forge does incredibly well to make this as close as it was at the start.
Yeah, and you know, it's so interesting coming in. IceCoke pretty much getting caught out right away, but like you said, Forge doing a good job of trying to make this close with the follow-up engage, but keeping our eyes on the Gwen. He's just full HP the whole time, doing a nice job of continuing to stack up his Q passive even on the Rift Herald. And as we highlighted, ZWuJi went in, he felt like, hey, I see low health members, I need to go in. We've already committed to this fight. Running away now doesn't do anything. Sadly for him, by the time he gets there, his team's already dead. New is still untouched, and it was just a pretty easy sweep for the side of OMG. Also nice, like, to highlight Aki in that fight, where he pretty much immediately got onto IceCoke, and IceCoke got chunked extremely low from the start.
Yeah, and you gotta say as well, just kind of looking at it from how the fight kind of started and where it ended, is that it was Rogue Warrior. I'm going to stop myself. We're going to see Abel just arcane shifting away. We're going to see the ultimates now popped out as well, but I don't think that was the right move, IceCoke. You have no flash. You've no way to getting out of this. The Shield of Durand is going to be used enough to keep Chocho alive, but good response TP here from Creme keeps him in the ascendancy, and they have got the Rift Herald, which they may look just to try and drop here on the bot side and keep going with those plates.
Yeah, that was a massive, in my opinion, like, wrong call coming out from Rogue Warriors to look towards bot lane. Not only did they not respect the TP coming out from Creme, but I feel like when you have this composition with the Galio, as you highlighted, what you should be looking to do as IceCoke is hovering towards that bottom side, trying to get control of river vision, and then looking towards mid, right? You have a squishy Viego in the mid lane, you have Sett there, you can bring IceCoke over as the damage, and then Chocho as the one to kind of string everything together. So, for me, it's hover mid, help them make sure they get prio, you can safely walk through the river, then look for the play on mid lane, not vice versa towards bot. So nice reaction by OMG, and this looks like more of a repeat than game one. It looks even stronger of a stomp coming in. Already a 4K gold lead with 2 Drakes for the side of OMG.
Yeah, it really feels like this one should be a little bit faster than 34 minutes. They might even be able to get it in 25, so knocking 10 minutes off of their Rogue Warriors speed run. But it really does feel like everyone on Rogue Warriors is just disjointed. They don't really have full, you know, cohesive communication of where they want to be, where they want to go, and it just seems like everyone's either a step behind or a step ahead of everybody else, and it's just not really working out for them right now. And even in that previous fight around the Rift Herald, it was the Cyclone, and then a very late Galio ultimate, and then a very late, you know, Sett ultimate into a very late, like, it was almost like bit by bit by bit, whereas if you combo those together, you get those CC and burst damage down, you can do an awful lot more with your composition. And for Rogue Warriors, they need to try and make that stick, because right now, like you mentioned, it's not looking too good for the side of Rogue Warriors. They are getting pretty far outscaled in the 4,000 gold lead and 2 dragons department.
Yeah, and I feel like another reason we're seeing this game go the way it is so drastically is the fact that, you know, Rogue Warriors do only have that one mode. It is just go, go, go all the time. That there's really no other way that you can play around it and look for advantages in other ways. So if they do just fall behind after one play, they're going to keep indexing into it.
Well, they're going to look for it here, as we're going to see now Aki getting jumped on, but the rest of OMG are now there. We're going to see the showstopper to try and just take him out. He will fall, but it is a trade of 1-for-1. Now, look at this massive play. Look at the size of this absolute Gwen right now. Just pushing forward. Has not got a flash, but has got a snip and a skiff available to him very, very soon. Is going to try and just keep chasing down IceCoke or IceCoke even. As there's not really many places for him to go. No flash available, nowhere really to hide, and that is going to be easy pickings for him. Even going to get his soul take it away from him just at the end, just for the hell of it.
Right, and that actually goes to illustrate the point I was trying to make, is that as Rogue Warriors, to find a place to get back in the game, after your initial one fails, you've fallen behind. The enemy is getting more gold than you, they're getting more levels, so they're getting more base stats, they're buying more items, getting more damage, but you can only really keep looking for fights. It's like, sure, can they look for more intelligent fights or try to set up like picks and look for vision and combo the burst to where they can find the pick before other members could follow up? Like, there's a lot of nuanced details, but the point is, they still need to keep putting themselves in harm's way to make plays, and when you've already fallen so far behind, it's going to be extremely rough. Lucky for Aki here, he does have the flash, so able to get away from it. The fact that IceCoke is decently far behind, they don't have the damage to burst him out immediately, but you gave time for the other members of OMG to rotate. Cold was already on his way up here, both Creme and New in the soul lanes, very easily able to collapse, and it just leads to OMG ballooning their gold lead by another 1,000.
Yeah, they've got mid lane priority as well. They also picked up their second Drake, so 2 minutes until that third Drake spawns. It's infernal as well, so you thought you were in the... what would be the word I'm trying to look for? I'm going to say a word that's not broadcast friendly, so I'm going to move on from that, but it's looking very, very difficult for the side of Rogue Warriors to really bounce back from this deficit, and the longer it goes on, the more it just feels like OMG are just pushing further and further ahead.
Yeah, OMG now. I mean, OMG have all the options, right? They could just keep looking to like push out sides and group mid and trying to enable Able and Cold. They could send Creme up right now towards top side, look for that Rift Herald. You can look for a 3-man play on top side and break open top turret. I feel like when you have this much of an advantage, you have like numerous options to what you're able to do. It's just like, what order is most efficient to do them in? What do you want to look for? And realistically for Rogue Warriors, they're in such a rough spot where you can't really cross map. It's like, sure, you could try to have Forge get bottom lane turret, but you're losing too much on the opposite side of the map. You're not a comp that really wants to be split up. You're much more of a 5v5 oriented comp, and you'd just be giving over too much to OMG. So I guess the conclusion is ROW are in a pretty bad situation.
Yeah, again, more words that are probably not very broadcast friendly that we could say in this particular situation, but and I gotta give massive props to OMG and how they've come into this summer split. Like, they were just not a team that you really put into the conversation of anything really at all in terms of the upper echelons of the LPL. And now we're looking at them, we're seeing them bring out new styles, we're seeing new, even people like New and able to kind of take up the mantle of being a carry for their team. And it's just one of those things. We mentioned it so many times when we talk about the top teams in the LPL, the EDGs, the FPXs, the, you know, even the WEs and the LNGs now. It's like you need threats all across the board in order to be considered even a top 5-3 or even hell, even a top 8 team in the LPL.
And you know, to go further to your point, I pulled up my pre-split power ranking. I had OMG 15th. I had OMG under TT. I had OMG under up BLG. A lot of these teams, you know. And you know, maybe I was just a moron, but I feel like realistically looking at their roster, it was very hard to get behind what they were putting together. But they are proving everyone wrong. They're gonna set up for this dragon. Rogue Warriors right now are kind of forced to deal with the threat of a flank coming in from New. Now he's gonna wrap around, so OMG will have 5-man strong on the dragon. I realistically think they should just be able to start this one up if they want and force the fight with the advantage they have, but they're going to respect the engage coming out from 8917 and the combo of Wukong Galio with the Diana follow-up.
Well, the Dragon Pit is a very nice area for all these ultimates to really combo up, as we do see the Dragon now being started. You have got Creme on the back side of this. They're going to jump straight in onto Forge and use the hero's entrance as well. Nice little Glacial Fissure to try and just dissuade any kind of re-engage up that ramp. To see now New on the backside, he goes golden at the perfect time. They do get the Moonfall to come down, and they're trying to go for this one, but look at the AD carry. Look at Aki just being a havoc in this backside, and they're going to chase everybody away from this fight, and they're going to be able to take themselves a nice ace triple kill for Creme. Dragon soon to follow. I think this game is all but done, Lyric.
Yeah, I mean, 18 minutes. We still have a ton of structures up, so you still expect we got a bunch of time in this game. So Rogue Warriors potentially could find some kind of mistake come out from OMG. Hope for a miracle play, but yeah, this is this is all but done and dusted for now. I feel like we get to judge a lot on how OMG transition their mid-game lead to like a late-game close. We still don't even have Baron up for another minute, so gonna wait to see that Baron setup come out from OMG. And I like how Rogue Warriors go about this. They don't send in the Wukong or anything. Forge just kind of does the Millie strut, walks right in, tries to look for the engage. Galio follows up, and it does get very brawly and very dirty because the other 3 members of Rogue Warriors are having a 3v2 on the other side. So it is what allows Rogue Warriors to be able to pick up some kills in this fight. But once the other members are able to finish off the Galio and Sett and they join up, there was just no chance for Rogue Warriors to win out.
Now you can see there, just untouched, where Creme and Abel, they just tore through the health bars of Rogue Warriors. 6-0-4 now. You've got the Blade of the Ruined King alongside the Divine Sunderer. Double Divine Sunderer here for the side of OMG as they've got themselves the Mermana and, of course, the Divine Sunderer for the Ezreal. And this is slowly but surely becoming even harder because I noticed the first item that really stops the dive comp and really mitigates these big 5v5 combinations is Cold has picked up a Locket. So Locket of the Iron Solari is just such a huge boon to this team to be able to give them a little bit of extra, you know, shielding, a little bit of extra survivability. So even if you do get the perfect combination off, it's not a guarantee that you get any kills.
Braum to me is a champion that I think is like heavily undervalued in this meta, going back to your point about Cold picking up the Locket, because I feel like Braum has actually been undervalued in a lot of metas where whenever you do have squishy melee bruisers or just low range champions, right? Because you think about it, Forge is going to run in or IceCoke's going to jump in, you throw a Q on them, you pop your ultimate, you even tag them with an auto on their passive. And especially for IceCoke, if IceCoke gets hit by Braum's passive, I feel like IceCoke should just be dead. He should be out of the fight. They have enough burst coming out from their carries after the lockdown to finish him off. And it's such a good time of even just dissuading, standing in front, chucking out Qs for the slows, making sure no one can get in range. This is a champion that has a lot of value, but for the fact that he doesn't have the same amount of lane presence as other champions is a big reason why, at least from my conversations with a lot of pro players, is why they've always wanted to steer a bit clear from Braum.
Oh, it was all just a bait. They were trying to two-man the Baron as they do get the TP out and the hero's entrance as well as the Kaisa. This could be a little bit of an interesting fight now for the side of RW, but the Kaisa's dead. They don't have the damage. The passive of the concussive blows is enough to keep them away, and they almost had themselves a nice little move. They got Abel down. They were able to kill him off, but with the TPs now available for OMG, they're looking to try and just keep everybody away, kill off everyone. Yes, you gain 1, but you lose 4, and that's going to be the Baron secured here for the side of OMG. Rogue Warriors, I like that they tried. I like that they saw the low health bars, but they're just too far behind.
And, I mean, they gave us hope. They gave everyone hope. They were able to take down Abel right away. It looked, hey, you know, a big source of DPS is gone. But at the same time, Creme is 8-0-5 on this Viego. New is 4-1-8. Like, these guys are just so strong right now at this point in time. The 2 items on the Viego as well, so he's outpacing Forge. It's really rough for Rogue Warriors. And at this point, right, we can talk about, like, the things Rogue Warriors are able to do is, you know, we can hit on that after the replay. It's going to come out, like you said. They look for the 2-man Baron. They feel confident they can take a fight if anyone comes in because New was pushing the top wave. Forge looks for it. They get the combo coming out with the Galio. And just nice presence of mind to be able to get on top of the Ezreal. But here we're going to see, especially with New joining the fight, all that Gwen damage coming out. The resets are coming out for Creme as the kills are going down. And it's pretty much done and dusted. But going back to the point about what Rogue Warriors can do, right? You're so far behind, you can try and find picks on sides. You do have a very potent combo for that if sending Chocho and 8917 to answer either Creme and New in the side lane. I will say, my qualms with that, I do feel like both Viego and Gwen are a little bit strong. Champions that you would say probably can 1v2 and win outright, so... But yeah, in normal situations against normal champions, that would be completely possible.
Sadly, these are not normal champions. These are not normal situations. You are down 11,500 gold. As you can see now, OMG, maybe they're going to be caught out here. Nice flash away by Aki. Keeps himself safe. That's all 5 members, and like what you said earlier, once the first engage finishes, they don't really have much else to go on. The Glacier Fisher comes down, Aki is still alive, that Locket keeping him alive just a little bit longer. Chocho blasted over the wall, only to find the Scissors of Death right in his face. You don't run with scissors, you have to run away from scissors in this game, and they are going to be able to pick themselves up 4 kills, and they're going to push in to the base with this Baron. This game is done.
And OMG gonna make their way up towards 3-1. They're actually gonna be tied in the standings with teams like Rare Atom and FPX. So phenomenal start coming out for them. And you gotta expect it, right? Creme probably gonna pick up another MVP with such a great performance on Viego.
Really is the star of the show, and for a team that did lose Icon, you know, they tried to swap him around. They didn't really have the same kind of effect when he wasn't there. They now have themselves a new star mid laner. OMG 3-1 to start off their first 4 games of the split.
Yeah, extremely dominant series win coming out for OMG. Extremely fast series as well. Today isn't a day that is in different stadiums, but if it was, we would definitely be on track to keep time. Rogue Warriors,
plenty of time.
You know, Rogue Warriors, I mean, they did pivot, right? They came in game 1 with a very, like, set strategy. To me, it just looked mostly centered around getting power picks in game 1, but the synergy wasn't really there. I think OMG drafted a good comp around that. Game 2, they completely flipped the script. They're like, hey, we didn't feel like we had the tools to start off the fights that we needed to start in game 1. We saw Forge kept trying, but you didn't have the amount of follow-up or any follow-up to be able to go off those. So this game, they put together all the follow-up in the world they need, but it was really that early fight around Rift Herald topside where it started off a numbers disadvantage because ZWuJi wasn't there. Nu was left untouched and free to just take over, and right, if you weren't able to kill people with your initial burst, the fight just wouldn't go your way. So after that initial Rift Herald loss, it was pretty rough because they were already at about a 2k gold deficit just from that play.
Yeah, it was just kind of one of those things where Rogue Warriors gave themselves the right tools, but just didn't have the right, I don't even know what the word is for it really, just the right kind of setup or synergy to really make it happen. And it doesn't really get better for Rogue Warriors. Like, you're looking at, you know, their kind of next few games as such. They come against up against RNG this week. They all do have V5 in the start of week 4, which they might be able to pull a win against, but then they play LGD. Like, these are teams that are going to be very hungry for wins, and especially for someone like V5, a completely new roster that they've pretty much built from the ground up. They're going to be coming in to try and maybe cause an upset against these guys, and it's rough. It's rough for Rogue Warriors. You know, they have been at the start, you know, when they first came in as an organization with Doinby in the mid lane. They know what it was like to taste, you know, victory, and now it feels like it's defeat every single day.
And now the thing is for Rogue Warriors, I feel like, you know, that series against V5 especially is going to be telling for both RW and V5, because getting a win can do a lot for your team atmosphere, your momentum, your mood, like how you guys approach practice the following days and the following weeks. So I feel like that'll be a big place where we look towards Rogue Warriors. So like, hey, if you can pick up a win there, you know, maybe it's not going to transform you overnight into beating teams like FPX or EDG, but that could be your first step into then going up against the likes of an Ultra Prime, an LGD, a Suning, a BLG, and being able to take more games and take some victories. But on the side of OMG, man, we just have no idea. Like, these guys just keep showing us new things. We thought it was very one-track minded coming out with the style of comps they're playing. They still have showed us pretty limited champion pools, especially stylistically coming out from Creme, but anything this man touches, now bringing out the Viego for the first time this split and performing phenomenally. They've switched up in terms of what AD carries and supports they're playing. I love the Braum pick this time around. And yeah, I'm so excited to see where this team goes. I can't wait, and if OMG can keep it up, we're going to do that thing again, Penguin. We're going to talk about playoffs too early. If this team makes the playoffs, I cannot wait to see this team in a best of 5, whether it's them getting exposed or them showing even more. Like, I'm just excited. Creme is just making a name for himself so quickly.
He really is, and for OMG, this is, you know, just such a fantastic position to be in right at the start of the split. And we're going to talk about our MVP. You know who it is. We know who it is. It's going to be Creme. This guy, as we just mentioned, making a massive name for himself in the mid lane into a league that has some pretty big names in the mid lane. So great to see him having some fantastic performances, and the key thing for me as well is fantastically consistent performances as well.
You know what I also love about him? After he had the winner's interview against IG, and he comes out, and you know, Wendy asks him, hey, is there any mid laner you want to play against? And you know, right after just smashing Rookie, he's like, well, the only person I wanted to play against was Rookie. So it was like humble, wholesome, yet in a way like kind of low-key BM all at once. But yeah, this man coming in so far and pulling this team, you know, up by the bootstraps, a team that for 2 years has been a bottom 4 team in the LPL. Now coming in looking like they're contesting the top of the table. And yeah, I don't feel like there's enough there. Like, there's so much we can praise about OMG in like what they've shown us in terms of now comp diversity, the new picks they brought out in this series, the way they're playing the map. There's a lot of great things about OMG, but I just can't wait to see this team play up against more top teams, right? Because they did get pretty hard stomped by Rear Adam. That was before they committed to the style that they've gone with, because we did see Creme actually pull out a victor game in that series. So now I want to see where this team goes up against like a team like Top Esports, an FPX, you know, maybe at some point an LNG, an EDG.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to kind of, you know, pull something out for them and see what they're able to do against the upper echelons of the LPL, you know, kind of dynasties, if you will. But we're going to send a